we now want to address the issue of unit conversions and do a few simple examples of converting units from one type of unit to another and converting between systems of units, right? So in most sciences, at the base level, we use what is known as the SI system. Often colloquially, some people will call this the metric system. Here in the United States, most of our measurements come from the Imperial system, all right? And so typical things in the SI system are things like meters, kilograms, and things like that, whereas in the Imperial system, we will use either feet or miles most often. We will also use pounds. Now, this is a bit of a misnomer because kilograms and pounds do not mean the same thing. This is a unit of mass. This is a unit of weight. But as you go through the course, you'll see that at least here on Earth, and this would hold for any planet that you can, land on and sustain any sort of colony on, if you are near the surface of that object, then there is a direct conversion between weight and mass, but in general they are not the same thing. Okay. Now, for time, actually both of these systems use the same thing for time. Okay. Now, so first things first, this is your unit of length. Now, this is not the only unit of length. Okay. In the SI system, you have meters, you have kilometers, you have centimeters, you have millimeters, you have nanometers, you have micrometers, you have megameters. You can have any sort of prefix with your meter that you like, and each prefix will correspond to a very specific either fraction or multiple of a meter. Whereas in the Imperial system, we don't do that, right? We have feet, we have miles, we have yards. We have really where you get into the fractions would be in like things like inches, right? A quarter of an inch, a 16th of an inch, an eighth of an inch, things like that. And so these units both measure your length, okay? Kilograms and pounds, again, they're not exactly the same thing, but they're trying to get at the same kind of idea. How much stuff do you have? Okay, so this is your mass, but then we also have time, and actually let me put it like this. Time, and in both of these systems you have the second, you have the minute, hour, day, year, etc. Okay, so the way we measure time is the same in both systems, all right? But the way we measure things like length and mass are not, all right? Now, so the whole idea is that you are often going to run into a situation where you have a measure in one type of unit, and you need to be able to convert that into a different type of unit. Okay, so first things first, let's run through the SI prefixes very, very quickly. So we have, now these are not the only prefixes in the SI system, these are just the most common. So kilo means 1,000, mega means 1 million, and giga means 1 billion. And this will often be written as 10 to the third. This will often be written as 10 to the sixth, and giga is a billion. So this will often be written as 10 to the ninth. Okay, so what this means is 1 kilometer, if I have 1 kilometer, this is equal to 1,000 meters. Okay, 1,000 meters, 1,000 is a kilo, so 1,000 meters is 1 kilometer. 1 megameter, now this is not a unit that's used very often, okay, but this is just for example. 1 megameter would be 1 million meters, okay? But then we also, so all of these prefixes are larger than 1. Okay, so these prefixes are all multiples. However, we also have prefixes that are smaller. So once again, this is not exhaustive, but it is the most common ones. So centa means 1/100th. Okay? Or this is often written as 10 to the negative 2. Milla means 1,000th. And this is often written as 10 to the negative 3. And micro is 1/1,000,000th. And this is often written as 10 to the negative 6. Okay? So in 1 centimeter, for example, this is 1/100th of a meter. All right. So 1 meter, for context, for those who aren't familiar with the SI system, 1 meter is approximately a yard. Okay, it's a little bit bigger than a yard. 1 meter, let's put it up here. 1 meter is 3.28 feet. Okay, so it's a yard and then a couple inches or so. All right. And so when we have a meter, 1/100th of that is a centimeter. Okay, so a centimeter is a little bit smaller than an inch, right? Actually, it's smaller than an inch by almost a quarter, but that's fine. And so what that means is, another way of writing this might not make very much sense, okay, but just to put it into context, if I have a meter stick, okay, let's suppose I have like a wooden meter stick, and so that this is 1 meter. Then there would be 100 centimeter markings along the meter stick, such that the length between any 2 centimeter markings was 1 centimeter. Okay, so what this means is there's 100 centimeters in 1 meter. And that comes, if I multiply both sides of this equation by 100, then I would get 100 centimeters in 1 meter. Okay, so even though the definition of a centimeter is 1/100th of a meter, this 100 centimeters in 1 meter is usually the way we write it out. This is the much more common way of writing it out, and that's because this is a little bit easier to visualize. There's just 100 little tiny centimeters in 1 larger meter. And same thing for the millimeter. There's 1,000 millimeters in 1 meter. And there's 1 million micrometers in 1 meter. Okay? So, these are some of the common prefixes. Now, these are not restricted to meters. These can also apply to seconds. These can also apply to grams. And as a matter of fact, this is why the kilogram is named what it is. Years before, the gram was the standard unit of mass in the SI system. before things were redefined. And so if I had 1,000 of those, it was a kilogram, right? And so we can also have micrograms, we can have centigrams, we can have milligrams. Very often, medication is going to be measured out in milligrams. And so you can apply these prefixes to any of the quantities that you're using. Okay, so just to reiterate, let's go from micro milli kilo and mega. Okay, so these are your prefixes. There are 1 million millimeters in one, micrometers in 1 meter. There's 1,000 millimeters in 1 meter. There's 100 centimeters in 1 meter. There's 1,000 meters in 1 kilometer. And there are 1 million meters in 1 megameter. Okay? Now, so these are your SI prefixes, but some conversions between SI and Imperial. Okay? Now, I need to stress something. These are definitional. Okay? These are by definition. The conversion between SI and Imperial is measured. And so what that means is somebody literally took a meter stick and then measured it with a ruler in feet and then eventually had to estimate out to some precision exactly how many feet are in a meter. Okay? So these definitions are going to be measured, or I shouldn't say definitions, these conversions are going to be measured. Okay, so when we say that there are 3.28 feet in 1 meter, what we mean is to within 3 significant figures. Okay, the actual number, you can measure this out to however many decimals you would like, as long as you have a precise enough or accurate enough measuring device. But for most cases, 3 significant figures, especially in this particular course, 3 significant figures is going to be fine. There are 1609 meters in 1 mile. And that means there's 1.609 kilometers in 1 mile. There's 2.54 centimeters in 1 inch. Okay. Let's see. There are, what else do we need? There are, of course, 60 seconds in 1 minute. There are 60 minutes in 1 hour. Oh, so these are no longer conversions between SI and Imperial. These are just time conversions. So these are also definitions. Okay. These are measured. And then, of course, there's 24 hours in a day. There's some ambiguity there depending on if you're using a sidereal day or a synodic day, but we won't get into that. And then there's 365.24 days in 1 year, and so on. Okay? So this entire set will often contain, more likely than not, any of the information you need to convert from one type of quantity to another. Okay? So let's just do a very simple conversion first, and then we'll do a slightly more sophisticated conversion. Okay? So suppose I have a sheet. Well, actually, let's do this. Let's do this first. Let's suppose I have a line. And as a matter of fact, let's just draw a line. Okay, so I have a line. And let's say we've measured this to be 47.2 centimeters. And I want to convert 47.2 centimeters into meters. Okay? So here's the method. Here's what I do. 47.2 centimeters. And what you want to do is you want to list your relevant conversion. So in 1 meter, we know there's 100 centimeters, and this is from earlier. Okay? So what I do is I write a ratio. I make a conversion ratio, draw a parenthesis, and then make a fraction. Okay? Now I want to convert out of centimeters into meters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place these two numbers at different points inside my ratio. But I need to cancel my centimeters out. So my centimeters needs to go in the denominator. And therefore, I know I have 100 of those in 1 meter. Okay? And so now my centimeters have canceled out, and I'm left with meters. And so 47.2 divided by 100 is 0.472. So in 47.2 centimeters, there's 0.472 meters. Okay? Now, this one might seem a little trivial, but let's compare that with example number 2. Oop. Suppose I have a sheet. Okay? And I've measured one side to be, I don't know, 15 centimeters. And the other side I've measured to be 10 centimeters. Okay? So I want to do 3 things here. A, I want to compute the area in square centimeters. B, I want to convert to square meters. And C, I want to convert to square inches. Okay? So for A, area is just equal to length times width. And so this is just going to be equal to 15 centimeters times 10 centimeters. And so this is going to be 150 square centimeters. Okay, so notice your units are multiplied, right? Whatever you do to your numbers, you do the same thing to your units. If your mathematical operation is multiplication, then your units get multiplied. If it's division, they get divided. Okay, so now I want to convert this into square meters. Okay, so I have 150 centimeters squared. Because of this 2, I have 2 units of centimeters that I need to convert out of. Therefore, I need 2 conversion factors. Okay? And again, centimeters is in the numerator, so I need 100 centimeters in the denominator twice. And each of these is 1 meter. Okay? So now I need to take 150 and divide it by 100 2 times, right? So 150 divided by 100 is just 1.5. And then divided by the next 100, it's going to be 0.015 square meters. Okay? And you can see that because another way of seeing this would be 100 times 100 is 10,000, or 10 to the 4, so I need to move my decimal place 4 places. So if my decimal place is here, then moving it 4 places would be 1, 2, 3, 4, putting a 0 out there. Okay, so that's another way of thinking about it. If you can do that kind of math in your head, great. If not, don't worry about it. You can just crank through the arithmetic brute force and you should get the right answer. Okay, so now I want to convert this into square inches. Okay, so 150 centimeters squared. So now I'm going to do the same thing. I have 2 units of centimeters to get out of, but I need to do inches twice. And I know that there's 2.54 centimeters in 1 inch. And once again, there's 2.54 centimeters in 1 inch. Oh, I should have mentioned one more thing up here, okay? So this factor of centimeters cancels out with one of these, and this factor of centimeters cancels out with the other one. And that's what leaves you with your meters times meters, or meters squared. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing here. This unit of centimeter cancels out with one of these centimeters squared. This unit of centimeters cancels with the other one. And I'm going to be left with square inches. Now this one's a little bit more of a sophisticated calculation, so I'm going to use my calculator. And if I plug this in, I'm going to get 150 divided by 2.54 divided by 2.54 again. And this is 23. And so here's a really good example. Okay. So the answer that your calculator will give you is 23.25 0046 5 and some change. Okay, this number will keep going on. So the whole point here is that we cannot take all of these. We must round due to the rules of sig figs. So the rules of sig figs are, if we're going to use 3 numbers or if 3 significant figures is the smallest number in our arithmetic, then my answer cannot contain any more than that if we're doing multiplication or division. So I need to round my result to 3 significant figures, and doing so gives me 23.3. and this is going to be 23.3 square inches. Okay, so all of these are converting the same type of unit, right? They're all distances and we're converting them into different things. But what about if I need to convert multiple types of units? Okay, so suppose we have a baseball pitcher and they're clock throwing a pitch miles per hour. And we want to convert this into meters per second. Okay, so this is a world-class type pitch. This is an Aroldis Chapman type pitch. All right, but we now want to convert miles per hour into meters per second. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 104.7 miles per hour, and I have two units I need to convert out of. I need to convert out of miles, and I need to convert out of hours. So I need two conversion factors. Now, it does not matter which order you do this in. Okay, I can put my length conversion first and then my time conversion, or I can put my time conversion and my length conversion. I think most people are going to do the length conversion first. So I want to convert out of miles, and I know that in 1 mile there are 1609 meters. Okay? And then because my hours are in the denominator, I need to put my hours up here. And I know in 1 hour, there's 3,600 seconds. Okay? So now if I do this calculation, what I will get is 104.7 times 1609 divided by 3,600. Okay. So once again, your calculator will give you an answer of, in this case, 46.795 0833333 and so on. Okay. So once again, we need to look at our units, and we recognize that this has 4 significant figures. This has 4 significant figures. Now, the 1 hour and 3,600 seconds, this is definitional, so this does not contain significant figures. So therefore, our answer is going to be dictated by the fact that this is 4 significant figures and this is 4 significant figures. So I need to round this to 4 significant figures. So I round this to 46.79, but then I notice the next digit after the 9 is a 5, so that gets rounded up. So 46.80 meters per second. Okay? So I hope that helps with unit conversions. I hope that gives you an algorithm to kind of step back and approach these systematically. And we will see you in the next video.